Hello everyone. Today we will talk about the process of photosynthesis. This is the very important process found in plants, where plants create their food and their energy is created for processes used later on. So this is our base formula. We have sunlight plus CO2 plus H2O turns into C6H12O6 plus O2, which is oxygen. So I will break that formula down for you guys right now so you guys can understand it very easily. We'll start at the beginning at sunlight. So sunlight is where sunlight provides energy for the process, and it comes down and it is absorbed through the leaves for the process. CO2 enters through these tiny little holes within the leaves called stomata. These are very important little openings that open and close depending on different factors such as humidity and heat and other things like that. H2O is absorbed through the roots of the plant down here. Lots of water in this little area, absorbed through the roots, goes up through the plant through vascular tissue called xylem. All of these components are taken to a spot within the cell called the chloroplast, and in this organelle of the cell, the light and dark reactions occur and the process of photosynthesis happens. And then we move over to the other side of the equation where C6H12O6 is created. This is more commonly known as glucose. Glucose is broken down in later processes, and that is where most of the energy in plants comes from. That's why plants are called producers and not consumers. They make their own food. That's why they're called producers. So that is the process of photosynthesis. Okay, so now we're going to outline the process of cellular respiration. And this process, if you know the process of photosynthesis, you basically flip it around, and that is the process of cellular respiration. So the equation goes, we have our glucose right here plus our oxygen turns into carbon dioxide, water, and ATP. Now this ATP is very important, and we will outline this later in the video. First, to understand cellular respiration, you need to know the steps involved. So the steps, the first one is glycolysis, second one is the Krebs cycle, and the third one is the electron transport chain. So I'll outline that process for you now. So this process basically occurs near or in the mitochondria. First process right here, glycolysis, happens outside the mitochondria. That's why it's placed right here. This process basically takes glucose right here, breaks it down into two 3-carbon pyruvate acid molecules right down here. And from here, this moves over to the Krebs cycle, and this cycle breaks down pyruvic acid further into acetylcholine, and this acetylcholine is broken down even further into high energy electrons called NAD and FAD. That is NADH and FADH, and those high energy electrons are carried to the ETC right here. So, and right here, this membrane right here, this is actually right here, right on the inner mitochondrial membrane. And what this does, the high energy electrons go through the protein channels and back up and all that, and then they go through this last one, and then they have this enzyme, or this enzyme right here called ATP synthase. And this has protein, or has high energy H+ ions pumped through it to create proton gradient, which creates a ton of ATP. Actually creates 32 ATP, which is a monumental amount of ATP, and that is the process of cellular respiration. Now we have to look at the importance of ATP in this whole process. So here let's look at ATP in the molecule. ATP is adenosine triphosphate. So this molecule of ATP is used for energy in cellular processes and just about everything we do. So without ATP we could not live, we could not carry out photosynthesis. This process of cellular respiration actually couldn't happen without ATP, so that's why it's important. And the way that ATP releases its energy, this last phosphate bond breaks and it actually turns into ADP, and this phosphate just goes off and joins another ADP molecule, and then it's kind of recycled energy, which is why it's very important. And this break of the bond releases a ton of energy, and it's very important to the lives of everything and every living thing on Earth.